What's good, everybody? It's Bro Hamza, and today, guys, I'm coming to you with a brand new video. But before we get into that, guys, please just go and leave a like on this video because I haven't uploaded in a super long time. Let's try and get one like on this video, and again, let's try and get one comment on this video as well. Make sure you check out all the links down below. Join our Discord. I'm trying to create an awesome community. And without further ado, guys, let's get right into 5 Infernoble combos that you must know. Alright, guys, so now we are onto the combo. So again, I usually do the first ones, which are the super basic ones. Then I go all the way near the end to like the better and more probable combos that have the nicer end board. So the first combo is, of course, going to be Neo Space Connector. Now, if you guys are familiar with my content before or just my videos in general, I'm a big Infernoble or Warrior fan. So again, if you're not playing Connector, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not playing Connector, I'm gonna have to connect you. But yeah, so we start off with Connector. Connector will go ahead and normal summon, and if you guys don't know what Connector does is, when he is normal summoned or special summoned, he can summon out his friend Aquadilf. Basically, this combo is any 2 warriors. I'm gonna write right here. This is any 2 warriors. So there's 3 variants of this combo, and I'm going to be showing you all 3 variants. So we're going to go ahead and link summon into Isolde. For the first combo in the first variant, I will go a little bit in depth, kind of explaining everything. After that, it's kind of bread and butter. Shout out to Gunna. But basically, we go ahead and go into Isolde. Isolde will go ahead and add us. It doesn't matter what we add. What I like to prefer is add a fire warrior, because if we actually do end up having other variables in our hands like Oliver, Olivier, whatever, we can go ahead and discard to continue playing. So that's why I show it doesn't matter what you add. For this case, I'll just go ahead and add Fire Flint Lady because I believe she's the most generic one. So then from here we can go ahead and use Isolde. So Isolde is going to mill us 4. Now again, it doesn't really matter about some of the 4 you mill. You have to mill Joyous and you have to mill Durandal no matter what. The other 2 don't really matter, but again, you always want Phoenix Blade in the graveyard, and then the 4th can be your choice. I prefer not to mill Almace in that instance, just because Almace is pretty good, and you guys will see why this combo actually works a little better. So yeah, so we go ahead and send our Durandal and our Joyous, as well as our Divine Sword, plus any of the other equip spells. If you want to play Metal Silver, if you want to play Living Fossil, and things of that nature. But from here, we go ahead and mill 4. We summon out Ogier, not Ogier, Ogier. Shout out, yeah, whatever. So we go ahead and use Ogier effect. Ogier effect says, when this card is normal or special summoned, you can mill 1 Noble Arms card or 1 Fire Warrior monster. Now, there's a lot more cards that you can mill, like with the Noble Arms, and same with Fire Warriors. From here, we will be milling a new guy. He is going to be Infernoble Knight Turpin. Now, Turpin has a pretty cool effect. I'll explain him when his effect comes up. But, okay, yeah, you guys know he's like Armageddon Knight, basically. Or she. But, then you go ahead and use Divine Sword. Divine Sword will banish your any 2 warriors that you started with, of course. That's why I said it doesn't really matter. But from here, we can go ahead and equip Divine Sword onto our Ogier. It's important to equip it onto our Ogier and not our Isolde, because you want to loop Divine Sword a little bit more, and it'll fall off when we do XCs here. But from here, we use Turban effect. Turban basically says this. While this card is an equip card, the equip monster can be treated as a tuner if used as a synchro. So that's like one of those hidden effects, and I will go into depth about the hidden effects later on. From here, we can go ahead and use his main effect, which is this card right here, which says if you control a monster equipped with an equip card, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish if you summon it from the graveyard. Again, it does not get banished from your hand. That's another important interaction that I will showcase later on. But because we have a monster, which is Ogier, equipped with a Divine Sword, we can go ahead and reborn him. And again, this works with the Infernoble cards in the graveyard as well, like Ogier equip, Olivier equip. So that's what makes Turban really good. But yeah. From here, we can go ahead and overlay our monsters into our Big Daddy Artorigus, King of the Noble Knights. Divine Sword will fall off. I don't know if I sent him to the grave, but it does fall off when he's XYZ summoned. But basically, this guy's pretty OP because he says, when this card is XYZ summoned, you can target up to 3 Noble Arms equip spells with different names in your graveyard and equip those targets to this card. So this is why I said that it's important to mill Joyous and Durandal. Really, they're the only like 2 good ones, apart from Almace, of course. But Almace is like instance-based. Then he has the other effect where you can detach 1 XYZ material and then destroy any number of spell traps on the field up to the number of Noble Arm equip spells you control. So he's kind of like a cool little twin twisters in that regard. But from here, he's XYZ summoned, so you go ahead and you equip the Joyous and you equip the Durandal, and you guys will see why it has to be these exact cards in this combination. So from here, we can go ahead and fire off our Durandal, which it says you can pop it, and then you can get a level 5 or lower, sorry, Fire Warrior onto your hand. So we get the new guard, who is Ricardo. I don't really know what to call him, but it's Ricardo for me. And then from here, what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and link summon. So we send Isolde and Artorigus away, and we go ahead into our Reten the Heavenly General. So you can either go into 2 things. You can go Reten, or you can go into Ferocious Flame Swordsman. Usually people like to go in Reten because during our opponent's like battle phase, we can pop a card, so it's pretty good. Flame Swordsman is more for like if you get Contact C or something. So we're just going to go ahead and summon Reten for this case. And then from here, this will trigger Joyous. So they have 2 effects. So the first effect is target a card, add it back from your graveyard to your hand, or when this card is sent to the graveyard because the equip monster is sent to the graveyard, best summon one fire warrior monster from your hand. Now notice that there's no limit, so if you have a Gearfried, you can technically summon Gearfried out from your hand, and then if you get Gearfried back to your hand, you can go ahead and special Gearfried. So that's pretty unique in that regard. But from here we go ahead and summon out Richardetto. Now if you don't know what Richardetto says, his main effect is this: if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one level 4 or lower fire warrior monster from your graveyard, except himself, obviously. Special summon it. You only play one Richardetto, so you're never going to be reborning another Richardetto. But again, you can go ahead and you can target either Ogier or Turban, it doesn't really matter. From here we go ahead and we synchro summon away into a new card, which is Angelica, Princess of Noble Arms. Now she has the effect where it says, if this card is special summoned, you can add one Horn of Elephant, or one card that mentions Oliphant, or one card that mentions Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles from your deck to your hand. When a card effect is activated that targets this card, this is the most broken effect. When a card effect is activated that targets this card on the field, or when it's targeted for an attack, you can send one fire warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do banish this card, then you can special summon a roll monster. So a bunch of text. The main thing is that she'll never get impermed on her first effect because she can run away, so that's pretty good. But from here we go ahead and add the super broken card, which is going to be Noble Arms Museum. Now if you don't know what this card says, it says all fire warrior monsters you control gain 5 attack, so another hidden ability. Then once per turn you can pay 1200 life points, add one Noble Arms card from your deck to your hand, except its effect, except itself, whatever, because this is a Noble Arms. Then once per turn, if the previous effect was applied this turn, note that you have to use the first to use this effect. So if you're playing against a guy who doesn't pay the 1200, they cannot use the second effect, which is you can try one Noble Knight monster card in your spell and trap zone, special summon it. If you activate this effect while you don't control Charles, you're locked into warriors, you don't carry your whole deck as warriors. But yeah, so from here we go ahead and do that, and then we trigger Divine Sword to go ahead and banish our Artorigus and our Soul to get Divine Sword. This is why I said it's important for Divine Sword to fall off. Now we go Divine Sword onto Angelica, and then chain Angelica because she was targeted by a card effect. She'll enable to go ahead and mill, so we mill our Gearfried, and you guys will see exactly why. Another reason why we mill Gearfried here is because we already have Turban and Richardetto in the graveyard. The only other thing is you can mill Malgus, but I don't recommend milling Malgus right now because you guys will see. So we mill Gearfried here, banish, and then this will go ahead and tag into our Roland. Another important thing to note is that this is not considered a synchro summon. She just cheats him out of the deck, so you will not get Roland's effect, and your opponent will not get it either, so make sure you don't cheat about that, or they don't cheat also. So from here we can go ahead and use Ogier. Ogier will go ahead to target Roland to go ahead and equip, and then here we can use our museum. Fire off the first effect. Like I said before, you have to use the first in order to use the second, and I show by using the counters on it to show you don't really need to do the counters, and I don't think you're allowed to do the counters, which is a good mental note when you're playing on DB and just doing the combos by yourself. So from here you grab All Mace, which I was saying before, and then you can use the second effect here, which is going to go ahead and special summon out Ogier. And another thing to note is this card special summons the equip monster, but it doesn't negate the effect. So if we haven't used Ogier's effect, this whatever you call it, we can just use it now. So from here, we can go ahead and sync our monster away because of 5 and a 4 into Big Daddy Charles, or Bigger Daddy Charles, because Big Daddy's already Artorigus. And then Bigger Daddy Charles will go ahead and summon. You can go ahead and equip All Mace. Now this is the craziest interaction of the deck. Any deck that has the Link one's insane, and the fact that Infernoble has is even crazier. So basically, we go and link into our Emperor Charles. This card literally says 1 level 9 Infernoble Emperor Charles equip an equip card, so there's literally no other way to make them unless you have like a way of changing card's name, which whatever, it doesn't matter. But this guy's effect says if this card is link summoned, target 1 Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles in your graveyard, this card's name becomes that target's original name, and it gains that target's original effect, and then you also get 500 attack, and then once per turn when a spell trap card on the field or effect is activated, you can send one equip spell from your hand or face up the field, negate the activation if you do destroy it. So this will go ahead and trigger here when he's summoned to equip Charles onto himself and then become that card. And then the second effect will be All Mace. Like I said before, all of these cards have unique effects. So All Mace's effect is if the monster you equip is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your fire warrior monsters that is banished or in your graveyard and add to your hand. So kind of like Renaud in that regard. But All Mace will go ahead and get our Gearfried, which we milled previously. And then Charles will go ahead and equip, or Charles the Great, and then this is regular Charles. So Link Charles will go ahead and equip, then we can go ahead and use Gearfried to banish out the Durandal to summon out. I don't like to banish out All Mace, even though some people do like to do that, because All Mace is pretty good when you equip him on Charles, so I'll show you guys right here. So from here we can go ahead and proceed to the end phase. Now the end phase will activate. So from here we'll go Charles' effect, which basically says you can equip one equip spell from the graveyard onto him, and then you can equip a monster from the deck, which is important, which is why I said that you don't want to mill Malgus here. And basically then during the end phase you can go ahead and use Link Charles' effect, because he becomes Charles. Charles has the effect where you can just throw one card on the field when the card is equipped, so you can go ahead and pop your own Malgus, and then Malgus will go ahead and trigger when she's popped or he's popped. And he has the effect, which is a pretty random effect, is he can instead of targeting 3, he shuffles 3 of your fire warriors that are like banished or noble arms that are banished or in your graveyard into the deck as cost. So he gets around like random cards like DD Crow, things of that nature. So he's a really random card that he shuffles into cost because like you already recurred it, so there's like not a lot of things to do it. But basically he shuffles back 3 to draw cards, so you basically end on a draw 1 as well, which is really random. And then of course don't forget Angelica end phase. It's kind of like the whole Omega stuff, but just don't forget, because basically people use Angelica's main effect to like run away to dump a card and they get super OP. But she will come back, and then she's also really good because it's not only if she's targeted by a card effect, but if she's targeted as an attack, you can mill, and then you don't have to summon the Roland. But some people do like to play the second Roland or the main deck Roland. So yeah, so you basically end with a 1-card combo. It's a Charles spell and trap negate, which is this guy here. You also have a pop because, like I said before, he becomes Charles. But just one thing to note, and it's very important, is because when Emperor Charles has the thing where he says you can only use each effect of Infernoble Emperor Charles once per turn, it doesn't say this card. So the fact that it says that means that if you have multiple Charleses on the board, you can only get 1 pop. It does suck, but I mean, it's fair at the end of the day because you're literally turning a level 9 monster into a Link 1. Like, how does that even make sense? But yeah, so your board is a spell trap negate, a pop, you have a gear free negate, you have a draw 1, and you have a return pop. So it's like, it's a very deceptive board, and it's a really sticky board as well because you still have museums like Spiral Resort where you can keep on using its effect to pay life points. You have Almace, so if they do end up kaijuing this, Almace can trigger to get back any of your recursion cards like an Ogier, a Renaud, things of that nature as well. So that was it for the first combo. I went a little bit into depth because that's kind of like the, I guess you could say, like a bread and butter combo. Shout out to Gunna, like I said before. I'm gonna wanna. But yeah, so now we're getting into the second combo. Alright guys, now we are getting onto the second combo. Like I said before, the first combo was going to be crazy in depth because again, if you guys don't know the cards, I wanted to explain them to you and just kind of explain the lines because again, I'm not trying to be really cringy and gatekeep combos. I want to explain everything. So basically this is going to be the second combo. So it's the same thing with the connector. I'm not going to say too much about this line until the lines change, just because again, you guys already know connector summons out Dolphin. It's like when I used to talk about Armageddon Knight for 5 minutes and people used to cry about it. But from here, they can go ahead and summon. We go into Isolde. Again, like I said before, Isolde adding Fire Flint Lady is probably the best one. Depending on your hand, it does change absolutely. But right now, I'm just going to add Fire Flint Lady just for combo sake. From here, we go ahead and we mill our 4. Again, it doesn't matter what the 4 are, because this line is going to be different, but you must mill a reborn spell, be it DDR, Overdone Burial. No, I don't think it could be Overdone Burial. DDR or Lebanese Fossil. It doesn't really matter, Living Fossil. It doesn't really matter, but DDR is probably the best one you want to mill, honestly, and I'll explain why in a few seconds. So again, when you do the mill 4 combo, you always get Ogier, and Ogier dumps Turban, and if you already have Turban, you dump other cards. But from here, we go ahead and use Divine Sword. Divine Sword banish out the Connector and the Dolphin, and it's very important that you banish a level 4 in this combo specifically, and I will show you guys why, but I'm sure you guys have a feeling. So we're going to go ahead and use Phoenix Blade onto Ogier, and then go ahead and use Turban. Turban will go ahead and summon himself, and then we go ahead and overlay. Except this time, we're not going to into Artorigus. We're going to this new guy, Battling Boxer, King Dempsey. Dempsey roll, shout out my boy Epo. But basically, this card says, if this card is special summon, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Fire or Warrior or Battling Boxer spell and trap card, add it to your deck, or you can add the Fire Warrior monster, right? So you can take a Fire Warrior and add to your deck or mill it, I believe, or you can add a Battling Boxer spell trap card or mill it. So again, he works really well in the Battling Boxer version. He works very well in the whatever version. I'm pretty sure in the YCS, they were using him to grab Raisin as well, the Vanquish Soul card. So Dempsey's really good. He's probably definitely one of the more generic cards because he's a level 4, 2 level 4s. So you can splash him in any way. But enough. I don't know what Blood's waffling about. But we go ahead and use Dempsey. Dempsey will go ahead and add us Renaud. Then from here, we can go ahead and special Renaud because Dempsey's a Fire Warrior. So again, you guys can see the synergy. And this is why I was saying that you have to mill a Reborn spell. It's to get DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation. So from here, we can go ahead and link our monsters away into Return the Heavenly General. And again, it's important to summon Renaud there, just because we're not going to be able to get another Fire Warrior unless you make the Flame Swordsman. So from here, we go ahead and we go into Return because Return's almost always the better card, unless you want to save it for like Link climbing into Power Load. But from here, we go ahead and use Divine Sword. Divine Sword mills or banishes, sorry, the other two. It doesn't matter what you banish there as long as it's a level 4 if you don't have a level 4 already, because DDR, pitch Divine Sword, go into Connector to get the 4, because now you have a 1, which is a tuner, because we're not summoned by his own effect, and then Connector, which is a 4. Then go ahead and synchro away into Angelica, and then I'm sure you guys kind of know what's going to happen now. It's different ways to get to the board, but it's kind of the same board. So we go ahead and go into Angelica Museum. Then we go ahead and do the same thing. So we go Museum, go ahead and grab us our Almace. So a lot of the plays are going to almost result in this kind of end board. So as long as you can get to Angelica and Isolde, you end up getting there. So Divine Sword onto Angelica run away, dump Gearfried, go into Roland, and then go ahead and go Turpin, equip, and then use Museum to go and special summon out Turpin. Then here we go ahead and sync away into Charles, equip Almace, and then link away into our Emperor Charles the Great. And then from here, link Charles will go ahead and trigger, and then we'll get Almace to add back Gearfried. Then we go ahead and equip, and then summon out Gearfried, and then go ahead and use Ogier to go ahead and equip. It doesn't matter who you equip him to. Usually you want to equip at least one equip spell to Gearfried, because if Charles gets outed by like a Kaiju or something, you at least still have a negate, as opposed to all the cards being onto him. But then we go ahead and enter the end phase, and then again, Almace, Maugus. This is like kind of a really broken part about it, the fact that you can almost procure your resources. Again, make sure Angelica comes back as well. It's kind of like the whole long yuan burn, like just don't forget it. And then Maugus will go ahead and most likely shuffle back like your Renaud, your Turpin, things of that nature as well. So that was it for the second combo, guys. Now let's get into the third combo. All right, so now we are getting on to the third combo. Now this is gonna be the final of the one card combos. There are probably a bunch of one card combos out there. I have a couple spicy combos as well that we'll be showcasing in later videos. These are just generic ones. So now this is kind of one of the spicy combos, quote unquote, that a lot of people were doing and they anticipated to be pretty good, but it was only okay. It's very gimmicky, but yeah. So it's again any two warriors go ahead into this. So we'll go ahead and add. This time you have to add Eka the Flame Buddy. Eka says if this card is normal special summon, you can target one face-up monster in either player's spell and trap card zone, special summon it, and that's really all you use her for. And she's really important for this specific instance, and you guys will see later on. So from here we go ahead and go Isolde, mill 4. You guys already know the play. Ogier will go ahead and dump Turpin, then Divine Sword. Go ahead and banish 2 warriors, get Divine Sword. So like again, Divine Sword's probably gonna get banned because they're getting that new like God Sword or something, which is like Gearfried's Blade or something. I don't know, but even if it does, it doesn't really matter because you still don't really need to be equipping because we still have cards in the graveyard. But again, to each their own. We go Artorigus, go ahead and get Durandal. Durandal get Richardetto. Link our monsters away, send the whole world to the graveyard. Go ahead into Reten. Reten, go ahead and special summon out no, Reten is special summon. Joyous will summon Richardetto. Richardetto go ahead and reborn Ogier. Synchro into 5. 5 Angelica go into Noble Arms Museum. Then from here we go ahead and use Divine Sword again because again this card's pretty crazy. Divine Sword equip, Angelica dump, run away, go into Roland, Museum effect, go ahead and add. Grab Almace. So again, you guys are kind of familiar with these lines, and this is the reason why I'm not really gonna commentate too much over this. I'm gonna leave it on fast forward. You guys can see what's going on here. Almace and Charles. Make sure you don't forget Charles because it really sucks when you forget Charles because then you can't pop. Trust me, I know. But then we go ahead and use Gearfried. Gearfried banish. Angelica comes back, and then this is when the combo is important. So during the end phase, Charles will equip Almace or whatever you want, and then he has to equip Great Shogun Xian. It's pretty broken because you can do any fire warrior. But Shogun Xian says, I almost read the first effect. The main effect is your opponent can only activate one spell or trap card each turn. So this was gonna happen during our opponent's standby phase. Reten actually has a real effect. He doesn't just look cool. I don't know why he has a glove on him though. But basically Reten has this effect where he says during the standby phase, target one face-up monster this card points to. Special summon one level 4 or lower monster with the same type as that monster from your hand. So this is important to note that you don't want to block the Reten zone. Otherwise you can't summon Eka, and you have to make this guy go here. But I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Go ahead and summon Eka. X effect will trigger. If this card is normal special summon, target one face-up monster card in either player's zone, special summon it to your field. So you go ahead and target Shogun Xian. Now Xian will go ahead and summon himself out. And now Xian is kind of like the walking talking floodgate. He's kind of like Rose Whip, where it says your opponent can only activate one spell trap card each turn. Now this is something important to note. If you negate a spell or trap card with Emperor Charles, he's negating the activation, he's not negating the effect, meaning that Shogun Xian's blanket effect still won't activate, kind of. So you have to wait for them. So if they activate Lightning Storm, you go Charles the Great negate. They can still use terraforming because you negated the activation, not the effect. But for example, that's why you have to eat a spell and trap card. So usually there's not a lot. So like if your opponent uses a card, you let it resolve and then they can't use it anymore. So basically what I like to do is I only ever negate a spell and trap card if it's threatening my board. If it's not threatening my board, I don't care. If they go like Imperm Shogun Xian, you're gonna want to negate that. But if they go terraforming, you don't negate that. They add the field spell and now they're screwed. So that was it for the Great Shogun Xian lock, quote unquote. And now let's get into the next combo. Now we are getting on to the fourth combo. Now this combo is going to be kind of like a throwback Thursday combo, where it's my boy Ignoble Knight, High Longelin, or whatever you call him. And this is a pretty unique combo as well because that card's absolutely broken, but again, being able to get Gearfried is super nice. But we go ahead and go summon off. We go Ogier. Ogier will go ahead and dump our Gearfried. Now again, you guys are really familiar with this if you are familiar with Infernobles. If you're not, I'll show you really quickly. So Renaud will go ahead and special summon out himself. Renaud has the effect where when he special summons from the hand, he's a tuner, but he can also add back an equip spell or a fire monster that's banished or in your graveyard, this being Gearfried. So now note, this is only 2 summons. Here we go ahead and synchro off into our Ignoble Knight of High Longelin. Now this guy's pretty good. Again, he has a secret ability as well, but the main effect we're going to focus on is when this card is synchro summoned, you can equip a Noble Arms equip spell directly from your deck to this card. So again, plays around Droll in a sense where, because he can equip directly, he plays under Droll. So like if you are Drolled, you can get like Joyous or Almace that have like a little different effects, like when they're linked and things of that nature. But again, we only use him for that effect. His secret effect is pretty nice as well, but we're only going to use him for the main effect. So this will go ahead and equip directly onto Durandal. So this is our 3rd summon. So from here, what we do is we go ahead and use Durandal, fire it off to go ahead and grab us our Turban. So now it's different because we have Turban in our hand. From here, we can go ahead and special summon out our Gearfried. Now, Gearfried will go ahead and banish Durandal to summon himself out. And then from here, we go ahead and use Ogier, equip onto Gearfried. So now this is a 4th summon. I believe 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is our 4th summon. And we have the negate for the Nibiru, for anything on our Assault, things of that nature. From here, because we have a monster with an equip spell, we can go ahead and summon out Turban. And when Turban is summoned from his hand, he does not get banished. It's only from the graveyard. So that's something important to note, because he does have a pretty good effect. Here, we go ahead and link our monsters away into Assault. Now from here, again, it is bread and butter. You guys already know the dealio, but it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be the mill 4, it's going to be the mill 1. And the reason why you can do the mill 1 is because you have a level 4 non-tuner in the graveyard. So it's really important to know that, like, if Ogier was in the graveyard and we had a different card, it would still result in the same thing, because Richard Dedo can trigger when he's normal or special summon, so it's pretty good. Richard Dedo will go ahead and summon out onto our Turban. Again, you always want to mill Divine Sword because this card's kind of cracked. If you already have Divine Sword in your hand, you can mill a little better card because you might be able to kind of function with it later on. From here, we go ahead and go into Angelica. Angelica, go ahead and grab us a Museum. From here, we can go ahead and use Museum effect, go ahead and add an equip spell. Almost always, you're going to be adding Almace. Almace can be almost any of the other cards as well, but you guys will see, it's really important here. So, Divine Sword, go ahead and banish any of the 2, go ahead and grab Divine Sword. Then from here, we go ahead and use the same shenanigans where Divine Sword target Angelica run away. And then, because you already have all the other cards, you can dump either Malgus to start looping now, or you can do Oliver. I personally like to dump Oliver here because then you have a better extender in a sense, depending on what your hand is. So from here, we go ahead and go into Roland, and then Roland. From here, Turban will go ahead and equip to Roland, and then you go ahead and use Museum's effect because we use the first one, we can special summon him out. And here, again, this is all getting really generic. So again, Charles, and then equip the Almace, and then link the Charles away into our Link Charles, and then Link Charles effect will trigger to go ahead and equip Charles, and then Almace will trigger to go ahead and add back our Roland. Or sorry, not our Roland, our Olivier. And then here we can go ahead and use Oliver's effect. So again, right here you can just sit on Gearfried plus the spell and trap negate, which is pretty good, plus the pop. So it's very generic in that regard. But you do have Gearfried on the board pre-5 summon, so this combo is a little better. But from here, what I like to do is I like to use Oliver's effect to discard and then summon Oliver out here. And then from here, what you want to do is we go ahead and synchro Oliver, Gearfried, and the attached Ogier into Baron de Fleur. And then from here, what we do is we can go ahead and use Oliver to go ahead and equip onto our Charles the Great. Again, these cards can also equip onto Baron, so it's pretty funny because, like, if you go like Oliver onto Baron, an untargetable Blue Eyes is pretty funny as is, and then you have negate as well. But then during the end phase, Angelica comes back. Emperor Charles will go ahead and trigger. So again, I always like to equip Almace because if you get Kaiju, you have follow. And then you have Malgus as well to equip, and then you can pop. Usually what I like to do is you can make like a God Charles where you do like Oliver and Ogier. But from here, we just do the Malgus. We'll go ahead and use Charles to pop Malgus. And then from here, something funny as well is, depending on what your board is if you had that Gearfried and they didn't nib you, right? You can go ahead and summon Baron. Say, for example, they nib you here and you go Baron negate. During our opponent's phase, you can tag into Gearfried. It's pretty funny because you can target a level 9 or lower monster, and for some reason, Gearfried's level 9. I don't know why there's this random synergy in this deck, but then Baron can tag into Gearfried, so you still have negate. So it's pretty good. So that's it for the 4th combo. It's pretty good combo. It's probably one of my more favorite combos. Now let's get into the 5th and final combo. Alright guys, so now we are getting on to the 5th and final combo. Now this, in my opinion, is the best 2-card combo where it's Ogier and Museum. It's better than Renaud specifically because Museum is not a hard once per turn, it's only a soft once per turn, which is crazy because you can search this card, which is even crazier because you can search this card. But anyways, starting off guys with the combo, we go ahead and use Museum. It doesn't really matter the order of operations because if you get drolled, you get drolled. But we're playing as if our opponent has no hand traps. But from here, we go ahead and use Museum. Museum, grab Durandal. And normal summon Ogier effect to go ahead and dump Phoenix Gearfried or Gearfried. And then from here, we go ahead and equip Durandal. Use Durandal's effect. Durandal pop himself. Go ahead and grab us our Renaud. From here, we go ahead and special summon now our Renaud. Renaud effect, go ahead and add back our Gearfried. And then from here, what we can do is we can go ahead and synchro, or I believe we synchro, yeah, we synchro away into Angelica. From here, we use Angelica's effect to go ahead and add us another Museum. Again, none of these effects are once per turn. This is crazy. Also, this is our 3rd summon. So from here, we can go ahead and use Ogier's effect to go ahead and equip onto Angelica. We don't use Angelica effect to run away here because we want to put up Gearfried before the 5th, especially because Nib is going to be a lot more popular with Unchained coming to the format because people for some reason think it's pretty juicy. From here, we go ahead and we summon out Ogier, so now this is our 4th summon, and then we go ahead and play our other Museum on top of the first one, use this Museum's effect to go ahead and grab us our Almace. Now Almace is really important for a couple instances, which you guys will see later on, but from here we go ahead and equip Almace onto any of our monsters. Doesn't really matter. And then we go ahead and special summon our Gearfried, by banishing our Durandal. Can Gearfried banish? No, I can't. I thought Gearfried could banish Noble Arms, but he can't. But go ahead and summon out Gearfried. And then from here, Gearfried is our 5th summon. And we have an equip spell already on board, so it's really important. But then from here, we summon out our Gearfried. And then we can go ahead and fire off Almace. Almace effect is this, meaning that you can tag out onto another monster and equip. So we equip Joyous onto our Gearfried. So we still have a negate. And now from here, because like I said before, you already have the level 4 in Graveyard. You only want to mill the 1. And then adding Fire Flint Lady can be, and then later on we go ahead and go Richard Deader, go ahead and summon back Ogier into Angelica, banish 2, go ahead and get Divine Sword. Again, we can use, this is why you play 2 Angelica. I think it's pretty important. I think playing 2 Angelica is probably standard because of this specific combo. From here we go ahead and equip, use Angelica, dump Turban, run away. From here we go ahead into our Roland. So I think playing 2 Roland and 2 Angelica is pretty good because these cards will always be looping each other, so it's pretty nice. And then Turban go ahead and summon, synchro away into our Charles. So it's important to not use like your Ogier effect to equip to Special Summon because you want to keep the second effect of Museum. So you just use Turban's regular effect Special Summon. From here, go ahead and use Roland, equip onto Charles, and then link our monsters away into Charles the Great. Make sure you declare Charles the Great. It's really important to get the Charles effect on the board. So from here, we go ahead and use Museum's second effect, which enables us to special summon our monster. Then from here, we go ahead and banish to go ahead and get our Phoenix Blade. And again, Turban has to be banished because he was reborn from the graveyard. And then we go ahead and equip Divine Sword onto our Charles the Great, and then link our monster away into Charles the Great, or sorry, single Charles. There's 2 main Charles going on. I don't know why they didn't just change their names into different people. But then from here, this goes ahead, Charles the Great goes ahead and equips onto our guy, and then we essentially end on a 2 spell and trap negate board. Angelica always comes back. Make sure you don't forget that. During the end phase, Charles the Great will use effect to get Almace, and we'll go ahead and grab onto our Malgus. And then again, like I said before, you can pop Malgus recur your resources. It's always important depending on what you like to recur. Usually you want to recur Richard Dedo and Turban, and then like one of anything else like a Durandal or something like that, things of that nature. I wish Malgus summoned himself back, but that doesn't really make any sense. But again, now your board is going to be 2 spell and trap negates and or effect negates, so you can negate True Draker Apocalypse in the graveyard. You also have a pop, right? So you have the Rolling Graveyard to equip to pop. You also have a monster negate on top of that as well. And if they kaiju you, Almace will be able to get it back. So it's still a pretty good combo. Again, a 2-card combo end you on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, depending on if you have extenders or not, this can also be a Baron, because instead of linking our Charles the Great or our synchro Charles away into our Link Charles, we can just summon out like an Oliver from our hand and then synchro those into Baron. So we have Spell and Trap negate, an Omni negate, and a Gear Free negate. But yeah, guys, those were the 5 combos. If you guys like the combos, please let me know. If there were any combos that I missed, comment down below or just shoot me a message on Discord. So guys, that was it for the video. If you guys made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment down FIRE, F-I-R-E. I don't even know why I told you guys to spell that. Again, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said before, I'm not going to be taking these long breaks anymore. I'm going to be super consistent. I'm going to be streaming soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, guys, my name is Hamza. Like I always say, keep on shining, never cut your dreams. Peace.